Hey everybody, I'm Nathaniel Dodson from tutvid.com. Welcome right into this Adobe Lightroom tutorial where today we're going to take a look at not 5, not 6, but 7 fixes for common mistakes you're going to run into, or not mistakes, problems you're going to run into with photos in Adobe Lightroom. These are things that I think you'll find useful if you're just an amateur or somebody who shoots photos for fun, maybe a student just getting started in the game, or you're a rock-solid seasoned veteran out there killing the game. I think you'll like this tutorial, and if you do like the tutorial, make sure you subscribe to my channel so you never miss another Lightroom or photography or Photoshop related video in the past, present, or future. And you can hit the little bell icon to turn the notifications on so you'll really never miss a video. And that would be super duper cool. With all that junk out of the way, let's jump into Lightroom and check this thing out. It's always such a great feeling when you sit down to edit your photos, knowing that at some point soon, you're going to have some really sweet photos to either add to your portfolio, share with friends, or send off to a soon-to-be very ecstatic client. Well, of course, that is if you don't find yourself vexed with these frustrating things trying to figure out Lightroom and how to correct some common problems that you may run into. And in this video, I'm going to break down 7 common solutions that you can use very easily in Lightroom. And these are solutions I find myself using very often when working with my own images in Lightroom, and hopefully they'll be useful to you. So let's get started with number 1, fixing under or overexposed images. Now, I know it sounds really lame and very simple, and it is, but there's some really cool stuff you can do here. So we're going to start with a few underexposed images here, but these principles stand true whether underexposed or overexposed. I've got this shot of a few burgers from a food joint I shot a number of years ago, and it's just a bit too dark for the application I want to use it for. This is a classic case of when you just use the plain old exposure slider and crank the brightness right up. I'm keeping an eye not really on the image, but on the histogram above this stuff. Particularly, I'm looking to spread the whole histogram out. All this stuff up here, I'm looking to spread the whole thing out instead of having the majority of the data clumped over on the left side of the histogram. The left side of the histogram, well, that's the shadowy parts of the image. The stuff on the right, that's the bright stuff. There's not much of the bright stuff here in this image. There's just a lot of the shadowy stuff. We could have been able to tell just from this histogram that, in all likelihood, this image was underexposed. I'm just looking here to have a much more even dispersion of light throughout this image. And now, checking out the photo, I can see that we have indeed brightened it up quite dramatically. Because we've cranked the brightness of the entire image up, we might need to tone down some of the highlights in the shot a little bit. In this case, because we have very small, concentrated highlights, we'll be better served using the white slider to just fade them back a little bit and take some of sort of the highlight bite out of the shot. And now we have a much more balanced and bright photo. We can preview the before and after of this image just to see how much of a difference we've made. All right, now also, sometimes you'll have an image like this one here, where you have extremes in darkness and bright. We're right here at the edge of this building, and the glass, it's outside, and inside it's kind of dark. So we've got this extreme difference, high dynamic range going on here. This is another time when I would turn to the histogram. And one of the cool things about the histogram here in Lightroom is that I can just click and drag on the histogram to target specific areas and brighten or darken just that area. So here, I'll grab the blacks and the shadows and boost both of them. And I think I'll also grab the very brightest areas and just reduce them a bit. This effectively will kill off most of the contrast in the photo, so we'll want to use our basic contrast slider to boost that back up again. So I'll crank this up until it looks good, and you're going to see the saturation will probably get boosted, in all likelihood, to an ugly degree. Use the vibrance and saturation sliders to tone things down a little bit. If the color seems a little blue, which I think it does in this case, slide the temperature slider toward orange a little bit and further adjust the saturation slider if needed. Again, let's just check out a quick before and after, and we can see the changes that we've made. Now here with this cityscape shot, we have a similar issue where the foreground is just far too dark. Once more, we would use our histogram to drag that area of the image into the type of brightness that we want to see. We may also have to here tweak the exposure slider and give this probably a little contrast as well. Again, if saturation becomes an issue, use that slider, just tone things down a little bit. And again, here let's check the before and after, and we can see that we've made a big change in exposure. Now finally here, with regard to exposure, sometimes you will get a very bright sun flare, or here in my case, I just wasn't paying the best attention to my flash up on a light stand, and it blasted my camera lens from here to stinking next week. But there's this amazing tool in Lightroom. It's called the Haze. It's down under the Effects tab. It works magic on photos like this. As I said just a second ago, it's located here under the Effects tab. I'm going to drag dehaze up to 100 and really force Lightroom to start working on this shot. It still doesn't look all that great, but you can see here I'll jump back up to the basic tab and I'm going to shift the white balance to get rid of this insanely heavy blue color cast. And all of a sudden, we're going to start seeing a proper color image with heavy contrast, maybe too much contrast. So I'll go back down to dehaze. I'll tone it back to around 80, 85%, let's say, and then I'll play with contrast, clarity, and vibrance here just to get a decent looking shot. The contrast slider in basic works differently than the contrast we were just getting because of dehaze. Clarity also works a little differently. It'll give us a nice mid-tone contrast, but it doesn't clear up haze like the dehaze option does. And vibrance, well, that just helps us tone down that kind of sticky, heavy, overcolored vibe we had going on here in this shot. Okay, moving along. Number 2. This one's pretty easy. Fast color correction. In the basic tab, you have the giant eyedropper tool. Grab this tool, just click on it, it picks it up, and then look for something in your photo that should be white or light gray or medium gray or dark gray or, well, you get the point. Gray has equal parts of red, green, and blue if it is true, proper gray. If it's not a very dark green, that would be very dark green. Gray has none of that color. So if there's like a blue color cast in your whole image, something in the image that should be gray is going to have more blue than it should have. And therefore, the whole image has this blue color cast. So if you look for something in your photo that should be white or gray or dark gray or even black, grays tend to work much better than blacks or whites though, so try to stick with a gray. Just grab this tool and click on that spot with the eyedropper and Lightroom will automatically correct your color. So we can do this here with the second photo where obviously we know this guy's boxing gloves, well, they should be black, not black with the bluish cast. And I'm going to try to find not necessarily a solid black area, but I'm going to prefer an area that's kind of this dark gray or nearly black instead of solid black. And using that tool and that technique, we get a much corrected photo. All right, moving along to number 3, we can correct a color cast manually. Sometimes in auto correction, even when it's targeted with something like the massive eyedropper tool, it just isn't enough. I like to use a more advanced technique in the curves tab. I always use the point curve, not the parametric multi-slider version of the tool. I don't like it as much. I don't think it's as powerful. Now for this image, you can see, and this is the case with a lot of landscape type shots, there's this heavy blue haze near the horizon. I'm going to hit the drop down menu here for the curves, and I'm going to choose the blue channel. We want to start playing with the blues. Now, if you don't know how curves works, I just did a tutorial on how curves works in Photoshop just a couple days ago. It's a very quick video, and it works the same exact way here in Lightroom. I'm going to link the tutorial here. There'll be a little pop-up up in the top corner of this video player, so you can check it out and learn a little bit more about curves if you're interested. It's an incredibly powerful tool. I highly recommend it. Now, to keep this brief, you can see the histogram behind our curve line, and this histogram is just like the regular histogram, just the blue channel, not the entire composite RGB image. The stuff to the left is the darker areas of the photo. The stuff to the right, well, that's the brighter stuff in the photo. Now, because we want to attack the bluish haze by the horizon, we'll keep it stupid simple. And we're going to grab the little targeted adjustment tool right there in the top corner of the curve panel. And I'll click right near the horizon, and I'm going to pull downward to reduce blue until the blue haze disappears. But because yellow is the opposite of blue, you can see kind of the rest of the image gets a bit of a yellowish haze added to it. And I don't have anything personal against yellow, but we probably don't want this yellowish haze on the rest of our image. Well, the beauty of the targeted adjustment tool is we can click up in the sky, for instance, to remove that yellow haze and just watch our curve line until it comes back to kind of its original position over in the curves dialog box. And we can do the same thing with the foreground or any darker areas of the image. Any areas that aren't that swath of blue and mid-tone area that we're looking to reduce the blue from to get rid of that haze at the horizon. Now we can use the little tick box, the check box on the curves tab to just preview this effect before and after. And you can see this is a great way to adjust color that seems to be affecting only a particular area of your image. In fact, even making wholesale color changes and color grading changes to your image, curves and the color channels and curves are an amazing way to go. Really, really powerful stuff. All right, number 4, targeting and adjusting isolated colors. So here I have this photo of this African landscape. We may feel the need to either adjust the orange dominated foreground, or maybe add some saturation or shift the hue of the subtle blue sky, I'm going to jump over to the HSL tab and choose the all subset, just so I can see my hue, saturation, and luminance stuff all in one fell swoop. Then I'm going to choose the colors that I want to play with. So I'm going to change color with the hue slider and change the intensity of that color with the saturation sliders, and then change the brightness of the color with the luminance slider. So what I'm do, I'll begin with the oranges, I guess, and I'm going to make them a little more yellow, and then I'll go to the yellows and make them a little more orange to change the foreground up, and I'll also make the blues more aqua to change the way the sky looks. And then I'm going to reduce the saturation of the oranges in the foreground, and I'm going to boost the saturation of yellow. And then I don't know, I could boost, maybe I'll reduce the saturation of the blues as well, just to change the sky even more. I know before we said we were going to add saturation to the sky, whatever, forget I said that. Let's reduce the saturation here and check this out. Lastly, I'll go down to the luminance, and I'm going to boost the luminance of both orange and yellows just to make a big change in the foreground. And I'll also slide the luminance of the blues down to darken up the sky a bit, just give a more dramatic sky. Now, as we complete these changes, you'll see some pretty big differences, which are only more easy to see if I do a quick before and after preview here. I can use that same little tick box, check box to preview what's happened here. I do think I prefer the original in this case, but the new one has kind of this cool muted style that we made. And we did all those changes using only the HSL adjustments, isolating color and changing individual colors. Here we used it for a landscape, but think about it. If somebody's wearing a bright yellow hat and you want to tone it down or change it to the color red, you could come in here and target it and change it to the color red. So a lot of really, really cool stuff you can do in HSL. Let's check out another example here. This is a very practical use for this technique, and this is correcting sunburn. So we can use HSL to target the reds while also playing with the orange channel to make sure our skin tones remain as balanced as we can keep them. So here I'll first shift the hue of the reds toward orange pretty far. I'm going to reduce the saturation, again, of the reds a bit, and then I'm really going to increase the luminance of the reds, like way up. This is going to really help blend the skin while hiding the sunburn. And all this is just with a single color channel within the HSL editor. I could still play with orange and yellow and tweak the skin tone a little bit more, but let's use the little preview button here and toggle before and after, and we can see how we very quickly corrected some extreme sunburn. All right, number 5, intensifying areas of a photo. So one of the fastest ways to quickly pump up and sort of boomify an area of your photo is by just grabbing the adjustment brush right there beneath the histogram and crank clarity up to around 45, set dehaze to around 5, and paint in more crunchy details and punchiness where you think your shot needs it. So this shot, for the shot of these adult beverages, can you believe I have to call them that? For this shot, we can hit the little tick mark at the bottom of the adjustment panel, and we can see how much of a difference this one little trick can make. Look at all the detail that is seemingly added right across the middle of this shot. Really cool. Now here's another example. For something like this photo, well, we already have a pretty great sunset, but can we make it even more incredible? Using the same clarity plus dehazing trick, we can use the graduated filter tool and pull some tone into the sky. And I'll also use the graduated filter. I'm going to change the settings. I'll go 45 clarity, 5 dehaze. I'm going to pull it right down into the sky. And as I continue to look at this shot, I think it would stand to improve quite a bit if we boost the orange in the sky. So we're going to push orange temperature and also shift the tint to add magenta up there to the sky. And then I think I'll even pull the overall contrast up as well, and maybe even pump a little bit of saturation into here. And after you do that, we can even go a little further. Let's go a little further. And there's this little color swatch down here near the bottom of the adjustment panel. Select that, and we're going to add a hot pink color until it just makes the sky jump with that beautiful pink-orange sunset color that we all love so much. So again, as we've done all day, we can just tick this filter on and off to preview before after and see exactly what kind of changes we've made here. All right, number 6. Leveling, lens correction, perspective stuff, a lot of important stuff that can be really useful. So to quickly level a photo, you can grab the crop tool there and click on the level icon. It literally looks like a level tool, and drag it along any horizontal or vertical line in your photo, and Lightroom will shift the crop so your photo will be perfectly level. Just a very quick and easy, down and dirty little trick. Now here with this shot I have over Philadelphia, there's a pretty severe tilt in the lens. We can even correct extreme shots like this, and this would be the same for if you're standing at the base of a building looking up and you got that weird distortion that happens. I'm going to open the Transform tab and use the vertical slider to swing this image as I think it needs to be. After I play with this a little, I'm going to tick on the constrain crop option to see what this photo really looks like when we cut away all the blank white background stuff. I'm going to undo all that real quick because I want to go ahead and show you some of the other cool options here in the transform panel. We can choose to the instantly level or instantly vertically correct or both axis with a single click with these sort of 6 different presets. Let's just go with the vertical correction here because that's what we know we need. And once more, tick on constrain to crop. Boom, looking good. All right, so for our final simple photo fix here in Lightroom, this one is a very general, kind of all-encompassing tip. If all else fails, go black and white. So sometimes you have an image that it just didn't work out. It's a little bit of a mess. Maybe the colors didn't turn out right, or it's a touch out of focus. It's not right. Maybe the photo of mixed light. You can see this photo here that I have. It's just a mixed light. It's a mess. It's not at all what I wanted. And with something like this, just like my personal mantra is, again, if all else fails, go black and white. So we'll do exactly that right here and see if we can get something from this shot. We're going to hit the B and W, the black and white button in the HSL panel, and shift the sliders around to change the way the image looks and try to infuse a little more contrast into this thing. Now, typically, boosting the reds and yellows will brighten up your skin tones, which is good to keep in mind. Just be aware of the other yellow or red objects in the shot, and you also don't want to blast somebody's skin to kingdom come because then they start to look like a very fake borderline porcelain doll. It's not a very good look. Now, once I have a base set, I'm going to jump back up to my Curves tab and make sure I'm working in the Composite RGB channel. You can just check the drop down there. And I'll drag the black point on my curve upward a little bit. The bottom left corner of the curve is the black point. We'll drag that straight upward just a little bit, just to give my absolute darkest bits of the photo this sort of milky blackness. And then I'll add another point in my curve, a little above that on the curve line, and pull this new point downward just until we reintroduce enough, kind of oomph to the darker areas of the photo to know that, we're cooking with fire here. Add a point a little closer to the top of the curve and pull this upward to boost kind of that crispy snap we have on our highlights. And what we have in this little formula is a way to convert practically any image to a black and white and get something decent out of it. A smooth yet high contrast black and white image, which will generally take a mixed light shot, a messy photo, distracting elements, and just simplify all that stuff. Simplify the image enough to make all that stuff look pleasing or at least usable once again. And that's gonna be it for this one. So if you guys enjoyed the video, if you thought it brought you some value, well, consider supporting the channel and pick up a copy of my Photoshop course. It's all about how to retouch images in Photoshop. If you're a photographer, if you do photography, if you like photography, you might just find something there that you really like, and it helps support the channel. And for that, I'm so thankful for you. And if you don't want to pick up a copy of the course, well, that's totally fine too. There's tons of other free tutorials here on the channel. Go check them out. You can see them all, really. You can do whatever you want. Just take the time and you could watch as many as you like. What is your favorite feature in Lightroom? Do you have a favorite feature in Lightroom? Is there something that you particularly like Lightroom for? Share it in the comments down below. Just what's your favorite feature, I guess. And for, well, all this different stuff, from correcting of the sunburn to messing around with color and pushing exposure and all the different stuff we cover in this video, guys, that's it. Get it, got it, good. Nathaniel Dodson, tutvid.com. I'll catch you in the next one. And before you go, make sure you subscribe to my channel for more great tutorials every day. Also, buy my course. It helps us do what we do, and this channel is supported by viewers just like you. You can also just click the thumbnail and watch another video from this channel. See you next time, guys.